Steve Wittman, 7.5 years in the military flying airplanes, 77 graduate of the Air Force Academy, and 7.5 years in the military after that. I've been with Procter & Gamble for 31 years. We were a partner with SACC from the very beginning of SACC, so over 20 years now. Well, over the 20 years at SACC, Procter & Gamble's hired several hundred candidates from SACC and are now delivering great results at various levels of the company with P&G. Critically important, especially when we think about the veteran population. I would say one of the best sources of talent that we can bring to Procter & Gamble. So clearly very, very important to our overall recruiting effort, especially among the veteran community. Well, our expectations for SACC are that we attract and hire the top talent coming out of the service academies. So we put a lot of focus on going to every SACC every year, and the company expects us to deliver the very best talent that we can find to help meet the company's needs for management. It's important for a candidate to research my company or any company for a couple of different reasons. First, it shows me that they have an interest in Procter & Gamble, and that makes for a more meaningful conversation when they're interested in us. And the second reason is because they're beginning now to understand, by researching our company, how our business is structured and where they might fit into the company. So it makes for a more meaningful conversation because of their interest and now their understanding as well as to where they might fit in, the type of work they might do at Procter & Gamble or any company. If a candidate hasn't researched my company when they come up to and talk to us at a career fair at the SACC, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but there's a bit of education we have to do about who we are and what we do. So the process, it just takes a little bit longer when they're at the career fair. And it may be okay in a circumstance where someone is really searching and they really haven't made a decision as to whether or not to get out of the military, but they're really there to learn and get educated. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but it depends on where you are in your career search. If you're early, trying to understand, then that may not be a bad thing. If you have made the decision to exit the service, then researching and understanding a company and what we do is more important when they come to the career fair. We use a variety of social media. We pride ourselves on our social media presence across many social touch points. And so whether it's posting jobs, creating buzz about events at Procter & Gamble, we're sponsors of the 2016 Olympics coming up. We like to use a variety of social media to really reach out and touch candidates to help them understand what we're doing at P&G, how we're helping serve the world's consumers, and try to attract them and interest them in the things that we're doing. Specific to LinkedIn, Procter & Gamble has strong personal presence on LinkedIn. We have different groups on LinkedIn where we try to reach out and talk to other LinkedIn members about the positions that we have and things of interest and stimulate conversation on LinkedIn in some groups around what we're doing to, as I said, help the lives of the world's consumers a little bit every day. It's a good question. In the first 15 seconds coming up to the booth, I like to think about it as more of a 30-second elevator pitch. And I like to hear from the candidate, number one, what brought them to my table, what their interest is in Procter & Gamble. And then I like to hear a highlight of something they think was a big accomplishment in their career. So those are the two pieces I like to hear. Their interest in what brought them to the table, and then highlighting a significant accomplishment that they're proud of in that first 30 seconds when they come to my table. As far as candidates go, Procter & Gamble, we're always looking for top talent across all of the functions we have in our company, whether that's marketing, sales, manufacturing, purchasing, across a variety of functions. And our hiring model at P&G is typically one where we hire at the entry-level management position and promote people from within the company. But more and more, we are also doing experienced hiring, where candidates that might have 7 to 10 years of work experience, either in the military or in the workplace, we'd be interested in talking to them as well in a variety of more senior positions. So it's broad in terms of the areas we're recruiting for, and also deep in terms of the levels of experience. When candidates come to my table at a career fair, I would really like them to ask me about three things: the work, and the work. What is it we do at Procter & Gamble? What is the work like? What's it like in different areas of P&G? So I can help them better understand what we do. So I'm excited about what we do at Procter & Gamble and really want to talk to them about the work that we do and our mission at P&G, which is really improving the lives of the world's consumers a little bit every day. So I like them to ask me about the work, what we do in general, and also the specific work they might do in a particular area at P&G. I would say that a candidate needs to, at a minimum, be professional when they approach the table. If someone is coming to the table and they don't have a professional demeanor, if they're casual about how they approach the conversation, and if they aren't very organized about coming to the table and talking to us, that's a turnoff. And so those things are important when they approach the table. At least they have a game plan, they're organized, they're professional in their approach to it. Well, at the SACC, when someone is obviously dressed for success at the SACC in terms of their business attire, that's certainly appropriate and acceptable. I would tell you in the workplace, generally speaking, in most companies these days, it's business casual, and so business casual is more business appropriate. It's not necessarily jeans, but I think dress appropriate to the occasion is what makes the most sense. And so business casual is certainly appropriate in the work environment. For SACC, however, I know that it's best for candidates to put their best foot forward and dress in business attire. Well, the most important things when they can demonstrate to me immediately at a career fair and that would demonstrate that they could be potentially a good hire for Procter & Gamble is, number one, their professional demeanor. Number two, that they're able to articulate clearly what they've done, their accomplishments and results, and that they maintain good eye contact and can have a good conversation and think about what they're saying and the answers to the questions that I have for them. So it's a demeanor piece, and it's also being confident and knowledgeable of what they've done and can articulate clearly to me some of their key accomplishments and results. Well, given the number of candidates at SACC, I typically speak to a candidate for anywhere between 5 to 8 minutes. So it's a pretty quick conversation, and that's why it's important for someone to be organized and articulate about their results so I can get a good feel for whether or not they would potentially be a good employee at Procter & Gamble. First thing I look for is their current role, their current work they're doing right now. And then I look more deeply at that role to understand what they've done in that role, what their responsibilities have been, and what their accomplishments are in that current role. Because their most current role is what's going to carry them over into success in the civilian workplace. Do I read two-page resumes? The short answer to that is no. We prefer the one-page resume. It's very, if someone needs to capture something, if they can't capture it in one page, then it really is difficult to move on to that second page. I'm reminded of a quote that I think Mark Twain had one time, which he said, he was writing to a friend of his and he said, "I regret that I wasn't able to take the time to make this letter shorter." And it's really all about the one-page resume, so no, I don't look at the two-page resumes. I would tell you the number one thing that make SACC candidates unique versus any other candidate is their leadership experience. Just an anecdote here. Former CEO of Procter & Gamble, Bob McDonald, who was a 1975 West Point graduate. When I was bringing my team to one of the SACCs, I asked Bob, I said, "Bob, what is it you would like us to look for to bring even better candidates to Procter & Gamble?" And he said, 5 things, Steve. Leadership, 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 and leadership. That's what differentiates the Service Academy graduate versus any other candidate that we look at Procter & Gamble. And we believe that leaders are what are going to make our company successful in the future. We can train people on skills, but the leadership that these candidates have from the service academies and the military is critical to success at P&G. Some of the pet peeves at the career conference that are things that candidates need to avoid.
Yes.
Number 1, gum chewing. Number 2, not looking somebody in the eye. Number 3, fumbling for paper. When I ask them for a resume, I need them to have that handy right away, rather than having to dig through their briefcase for it. Those are a few things that I think would put me off a bit, pet peeves of mine at the SACC. If I could, I would say that when candidates are preparing for the SACC, I would tell them to take heart. Take heart because the skills and experience you have in the military are directly translatable to success in the civilian workplace. Prepare for the SACC, and if you're still looking for an opportunity and are further out on the career search, then come and explore. If you're closer, if you've made the decision to get out of the military and are closer to exiting the service, then have a game plan. Do some research on your companies, understand where your strengths are, your personal strengths and abilities are, match those up with your research on the companies, and then come in with a game plan to visit and talk to the top companies that are on your list based on that analysis.